Cowboys Nation, buckle up. We've got a storm brewing in the secondary, and this time the name on everyone's lips is CJ Gardner-Johnson. The Texans just dropped him after only 3 games. That's right, a veteran safety, formerly a Super Bowl champ, now free for the taking. You already know how unstabilized safety players look this season. Busted coverages over the middle, tight ends roasting our zone, wide receivers slipping behind us. The defense has been gasping for its stabilizing force. The timing here? Brutal opportunity. Let's walk through what just happened in Houston so we can see how this move might swing in favor of the Cowboys. The Texans released Gardner-Johnson, citing locker room friction, issues with his role, and complaints that he wasn't used as he wanted. Calls for more blitzing, dissatisfaction with scheme fit. Coach DeMeco Ryans made the call personally, saying he's got to protect team chemistry above all. And to make things more interesting, the Eagles can't re-sign him this year because of a weird NFL rule. Because he hasn't played 4 games for Houston, his old team is barred from trading back for him. So he's stuck in limbo, available for any team that wants to make a bold move. Now here's where we get speculative. Could Pittsburgh, the Steelers, have been in the mix? A few analysts always peg Gardner-Johnson as a fit for Pittsburgh's secondary. Back before, talk has surfaced about how he could pair in a dynamic safety combo, flip between box and slot, bring some physicality to that defense. But now with him out in free agency, that window's open. The Steelers have had secondary needs, sure, but what about us, the Cowboys? Let me be crystal, this is the kind of move Jerry Jones should make right now. Our defense is bleeding. We can't wait for the trade deadline or hope rookies step up overnight. Gardner-Johnson brings versatility. He can play multiple safety spots, dropping coverage, blitz, match slot receivers. His instincts and playmaking skills give us a chance to plug one of our worst leaks. He's not perfect, his attitude has sparked drama before, but desperate times call for bold solutions. If this deal happens, imagine what it does for the locker room. Adding a swagger veteran, someone who's tasted the mountaintop, sends a message, we're doing something. Not idle chatter, not wishful thinking, action. I'm not saying it's guaranteed to work. He has to earn trust, reset alignment, blend into Eberflus's scheme, but imagine that spark. Imagine a coverage over the middle that holds firm. Imagine receivers second-guessing routes because they fear Gardner-Johnson drifting into them. Dallas has been passive in this free agent window, but now is the time. Kerry can't sit back. The Cowboys should pounce. So here's where you come in. What's your take? Would you want Gardner-Johnson in the silver and blue? Think he fits or is too risky? Hit that like button if you still believe in big moves, subscribe to lock in your voice in this conversation, and drop your opinion below. Should Dallas go all in on CJ Gardner-Johnson?
Real talk. If the Cowboys sign CJ Gardner-Johnson, that's not just plugging a hole. That's changing the entire temperature of this defense. Because let's not sugarcoat what we've seen so far this season. This secondary looks confused. The safety unit is the weakest link, and Matt Eberflus hasn't found a way to mask it. Opposing QBs are feasting in the middle of the field, and if you're a real fan watching these games, you've seen it with your own eyes. Whether it's 3rd and long or a red zone stand, tight ends and slot receivers are torching us. There's no intimidation, no swagger back there, and that's exactly what CJ Gardner-Johnson brings, swagger. We're talking about a 26-year-old safety, still in his prime, who's played in 3 different defensive systems, Saints, Eagles, Lions, and thrived in each. He led the league in interceptions in 2022 despite missing 5 games. That's not luck, that's pure instincts in film study. He can line up as a deep safety, he can crash into the box, and he can cover the slot. You want a physical presence who brings attitude? That's CJGJ. You want a vocal leader who's not afraid to get in someone's face on the sideline and demand better effort? Again, that's CJGJ. And look, people can talk about locker room concerns all they want, but let's not pretend this Dallas defense doesn't need a spark. What's happening now isn't working. You've got guys missing tackles, second-guessing reads, pointing fingers mid-drive. Bringing in a tone setter who's played on playoff teams and won big games is exactly the type of injection we need. And from a scheme standpoint, this isn't a hard fit. Eberflus's system is built on flexibility in the secondary, disguising coverage, showing too high looks, and dropping into robber zones. CJ has played that before. He'd thrive in it. Let's take it a step further. If you pair Gardner-Johnson with Malik Hooker and let Donovan Wilson rotate in, now you've got a trio that actually gives you options. You can move CJ down into the nickel. You can blitz him off the edge. You can put him over the top and trust him to read the QB's eyes. Suddenly, our struggling back end becomes a chessboard, not a liability. And even better, you're not mortgaging the future. The Texans are eating his dead money. This would be a low-cost, high-upside pickup for Dallas. That's how winning teams move. That's how smart front offices operate in season. And before anyone says he might go to Pittsburgh, yeah, maybe. He'd look solid in that system. But you know what? Dallas has something they don't. A desperate need at safety and a clear path to starting reps. We can offer him the spotlight. We can offer him redemption. And let's be real, he knows what Philly fans are. You don't think he'd love to ball out for the Cowboys and haunt his old team in the playoffs? Come on. This isn't just about filling a need. This is about flipping the narrative. And Jerry Jones knows that better than anyone.
This right here is the kind of move that separates contenders from pretenders. Let me say it loud for the people in the back. If Jerry Jones really wants to show that he's not letting this season slip away, he needs to sign C.J. Gardner-Johnson today. No hesitation, no overthinking, no waiting around to see how bad things get. We've already seen enough. This defense has potential, but without a true field general in the secondary, it's going nowhere fast. And we're not here for potential. Cowboys Nation is here for wins, for playoffs, for hardware. And right now, Gardner-Johnson is sitting out there like a gift from the football gods. You add a dog like him to this defense, suddenly you've got an attitude shift. Suddenly, guys start playing faster, trusting the man next to them, taking more risks because they know someone's got their back over the top. That's what this team is missing. Not just talent, tone, grit, confidence. CJ brings all of that, and then some. And here's the kicker. It's not just a football move, it's a message to the locker room. Imagine the impact this has on young guys like Deron Bland and Wanye Thomas. Bringing in a proven vet who's done it, who's picked off Mahomes, who's played in the Super Bowl, that sets a standard. That tells everyone in the building, we're not folding. We're not waiting for the offseason. We're in it right now. And man, can we talk about Philly for a second? Because you already know Gardner-Johnson would love nothing more than to put on the star and shut down his former squad. That's real. That's personal. That's the kind of edge this Cowboys defense has been missing ever since Dan Quinn walked out the door. The Cowboys need a voice. CJ is that voice. He's not a savior, but he's a step, a damn big step in the right direction. So Jerry, Will McClay, anybody listening at the Star, pick up the phone, make the call. Do not let this guy walk to Pittsburgh or Baltimore or any of the other teams sniffing around. Lock him up, get him in the building, put him in that blue and silver, and let's ride. Cowboys Nation, I'm fired up about this, but I want to hear from you. Do you want CJ GJ in Dallas? Do you think he changes the game for this defense? Or do you think it's too risky? Sound off in the comments right now. And hey, if you still rocking with this team, if you still believe in the turnaround, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and stay locked in with Dallas Game Day for every twist and turn of this season. We're not backing down. We're just getting started.